Get ready for some medical misinformation. Bird flu. Bird flu. Be frightened of bird flu now. It's avian flu. It's birds. It's coming to a mouth near you. Stand 6 feet away. Cover yourself up. Put your fingers in your ear. Don't go to a funeral. Bird flu. It's upon us. Did you die from bird flu or did you die with bird flu? These PCR tests, who's in charge of them? Are PCR tests being used correctly? Jay Bhattacharya, Peter McCulloch, Robert Malone, get yourselves together, guys, because here it comes. It's coming again. I think this is going to be like the Matrix sequels. The pandemic was all right. At least it was well put together. But when they started doing their Matrix Reloaded, what? That doesn't make sense. What are you doing to Neo? That person's already dead. You can't make me like Agent Smith. Here we go. It's bird flu time now. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Sweet Lady Freedom is about to depart. Right, so firstly, let's get the World Health Organization involved because they've done such a sterling job of handling freedom, with their treaties that demand censorship, what with their medicines that seem to demand myocarditis. In some cases, very rare though. Very rare. Very rare. Let's see what they're saying. A new strain of bird flu has jumped. It's jumped to humans in an event that has potential for high public health impact, says the World Health Organization. You can almost hear them celebrating. We're relevant again. We're relevant again. Fantastic. We can start imposing some measures. Officials say a 59-year-old man died in Mexico, and now it's your fucking problem. Like, look, I'm sad about 59-year-old man. That's a human being. He's a child of the Lord like us, battling a 7-day illness in which he suffered fever, shortness of breath, diarrhea, and nausea. Tests showed the man who suffered multiple underlying conditions. I've heard this before somewhere. Was infected with a strain of bird flu called H5N2. What's next? Where did they make that strain? If I find out that Anthony Fauci, the Eco Health Alliance, invested in H5N2, we've never heard of it before. Right, tomorrow you'll see Fauci on the TV saying that this doesn't exist. Then a couple of days, or they've never been involved with it. Russell, do you know the WHO has labelled you a pandemic? If only it were true. Officials said any new case of bird flu strain spilling into humans risked an outbreak. Of course it does. It's terribly, terribly risky. Let's have a look at this. Right, so this is Wall Street Silver on X. The WHO is running a scam on bird flu. That Mexican man, God rest his eternal soul, died on the April the 24th. He was in hospital for 3 weeks, bedridden, for other reasons. He likely died of those causes, not bird flu. It's happening again. They used a PCR test, which have been widely criticised, so sensitive that they result in many false positives. I think that's what's happening to us. We're being made so sensitive that we are easily malleable. We're living in dread and terror. That's why it's quite good in Florida, you know. I've been tubing. I've been dragged about on the back of a boat. It's very relaxing. Well, actually, it's terrifying, but at least I can, get off when I want to, unlike in other states where you'd be heavily regulated. So they can now claim in headlines he died with bird flu, even though he probably didn't. Dying with bird flu, false positives, PCR test, is different from dying from bird flu. Are we really going to have this conversation from and with all over again? A bird flu pandemic, any actual pandemic, is terrifying, along with war and other environmental things that could be used to lock us in our homes and curtail our freedom. These things we should be very alert to them. We should be very alert. But I would say that there have to be consensual responses to any future emergencies because, like you, I've noticed that every single crisis we encounter appears to be utilised to exploit us and control us. Look at this legacy media reporting from Sideways Headman on ABC, a man who will only show you one side of his head. Note how long it takes for him to get to vaccines that are already developed. See if you can count along. Count along before he says there's this thing called bird flu. A fella's died in Mexico. It's tragic. Everyone's taking a vaccine.
We turn now to the growing concerns over the spread of bird flu. A third human case has now been reported in the U.S., another farm worker in Michigan. While officials say the risk to the general public remains low, work on vaccines is already underway.
It's like 5 seconds. The risk is low. Everyone's going to take this thing that Johnson & Johnson have brewed up in the lab next to that talcum powder that you might not want to put too near a baby. Moderna are working on it, along with their 25th booster shot for COVID. Pfizer are working on something, and in 75 years, they'll tell you what's wrong with it when everybody's thanks, pharmaceutical industry. Thank you. I'm going to find that cow, there, that guy, I'm going to ride that son of a bitch to freedom. Although it's probably female, I suppose. Daughter of a bitch to freedom. And you'll be safer on that than on a bloody Boeing 747 that don't seem to be able to get more than 100 yards without the screws falling off the thing.
Tonight, scientists are ramping up vaccine testing to prevent bird flu transmission between cows and people, as the CDC confirms a third rare human case in the U.S. A cow likely infecting a Michigan dairy worker, now the first to show respiratory symptoms like coughing.
This Michigan dairy worker, I mean, we didn't know what happened in Wuhan exactly. You know, we were never clear. Here we've got this Michigan dairy worker. We never found out, did we, about the fella in the Wuhan Institute of Virology? Did we ever track down that individual or the person in the wet market? But now it's this Michigan farmer. And there's so many questions here. Firstly, you would start with the pharmaceutical industry and how it's regulated and how it profits, and those scientists that have already been mentioned in this news broadcast and where they get their funding from. Now we can sidestep into big food. How are these cows being treated? Does that look good to you? I mean, there's nothing wrong, but there's a Michigan farm where all these cows are being stirruped up and harnessed in iron. Now, the agricultural industry is under great attack from centralized globalist forces. What you need, I suppose, is localized food, localized access to food. If there isn't going to be significant regulation, you want less hormones in those animals, you want natural. Can we just slow down? Can we start heading in another direction? Before we march off down the bird flu alley, can we have a look at some of the many evident problems in this picture?
Now the first to show respiratory symptoms like coughing. That patient now on an antiviral medication and recovering at home. The previous two cases showed symptoms like pink eye. Federal health authorities investing.
Never been happy about pink eye as a thing. I don't like the underlying. The idea behind pink eye is you've touched your arse and then you've touched your eye. It's ass to eye action and it's got to stop.
Millions to limit the spread among livestock. The USDA announcing an addition.
Limit the spread. Oh no, flatten the curve. Get in your house. It's any minute now. Any minute now. I'm moving to a dairy farm. What I know now is you cannot trust. What you see in the legacy media, you can't trust. I'm going straight to Michigan. I'm making friends with a farm worker, and I'm going to drink directly from that cow.
FDA announcing an additional $800 million in emergency aid for testing, virus surveillance, developing bird flu vaccine for.
Oh, right, they've already got aid. That's your money. They've already, look, it's only one man's died in Mexico. I've got some terrible news about Carlos. No, there's $800 million. Now, what was the news? Oh, he died with something. He's been in hospital for 3 weeks. Look, the death of that Mexican man is sad. The death of any man, woman, person, human being is a sad thing. $800 million in emergency aid for testing, virus surveillance, developing bird flu, vaccine for livestock. Oh my God, they don't muck about, do they? They're so quick to start regulating and profiting from this stuff. Give us a minute. Give us a minute to get frightened. I'm not taking bird flu seriously yet.
Vaccine for livestock and food safety studies. Federal officials still requiring testing before cattle cross state lines.
Right. They're controlling the cattle's movement. That in it. Right. Those cows have got to live in 15-minute cow cities now and stand 6 feet away. The number just appeared from other cows. They're going to wear these cow masks.
Confirming 68 outbreaks in dairy cow herds across at least 9 states since March. The USDA says ultimately we want to eliminate the virus, and developing a vaccine to prevent another emergence of H5N1 in cattle will be an important step toward that end.
Can you tell me, anywhere in America or across the world right now, are there experiments going on where you are engineering, metastasizing, or otherwise adapting and making worse bird flu? We are doing that. Who's paying for that? Taxpayers. Right? Stop doing that. Stop doing it. Stop making. What the hell would happen if this bird flu was a lot worse? Can we attach it to pink eye in some sort of way? How about then we can touch each other's butts, then we touch each other's eyes, and then we get about $800 million. I love being in business with you. You're a genius, Mr. Fauci. Don't shake my hand! There's a pandemic on, you maniac bastard! I am the science!
That step in humans is likely still far off.
Ultimately, if we reduce the virus amounts in livestock, it's going to reduce the chance that this virus has for jumping into humans.
Whit, well, there is no science to suggest that bird flu is being transmitted from human to human. Scientists are still testing vaccines.
There is no science. Well, shut up then. Get off the news. Stop it. Here's some science. Stop doing those mad, wacky experiments where you make viruses much worse. Stop dual-purpose research. Stop funding weird shit in Ukrainian biolabs and Chinese biolabs with people's money. Then telling ordinary people that they're the problem, that they're disgusting, that no one's allowed any political autonomy. Stop the madness. Stop it. There's no science yet to suggest that pink eye is even a real thing. But have you seen this little guy? Why don't you kiss me where it hurts? Hey, this is exciting. We've got a great partner today. It's Rumble. But beyond Rumble, it's Rumble's latest venture. Let me ask you first, are you a Sleepy Joe type character with zero cognitive performance, struggling to muster focus and brain power for basic things like running the United States of America? You've got to stop drinking woke liberal coffee that hates you and your way of life and start your day by drinking Rumble's very own 1775 coffee. This is going to be the best tasting coffee you've ever had. Seriously good, ethically sourced from a family farm in the high altitude mountains of Bolivia. Not in the Bolivian lowlands run not by a family but by a single man still living with a pet. No! Instead of waking up and drinking your big corporation owned woke ideology coffee that's probably making you sick from the pesticides it's sprayed with, try Rumble's 1775 revolutionary coffee. Support freedom of speech. Build a parallel economy that actually values you and loves you. My favourite? It's dark, of course. I've always found the lure of the dark irresistible. I'm sorry, how can I stay mad at you? You're just going to have to wait over there for a little while. Level up your morning routine with a 1775 coffee. Sleep all night knowing your hard-earned dollary dues are going towards supporting freedom-loving creators like me on Rumble. Visit 1775coffee.com now, pick up your first bag, use the code BRAND to save 10% on your first order. Oh, come on. Why choose, you know?
Still testing vaccines in humans. Those at highest risk, farm workers with exposure to livestock.
It's the new thing to be terrified of. It's bird flu today. Is this how to stop bird flu? There you go. Wear yourself a little bird martyr. Look at that poor little guy. That's irresponsible. That's been made up. That's malinformation right there. It'll get us all banged up. But let's have a look at this. Deborah Burke says that we must test every cow in America on a weekly basis. Oh, God, that's so laborious, isn't it? Who's got the time for this? This is Deborah Burks. Familiar with this person, Deborah Burks, aren't we? Every cow in America should be tested and asked to leave the country.
We're not testing to really see how many people have been exposed and got asymptomatically infected.
Oh my God, they're doing asymptomatic again. Asymptomatic spread. I remember that one. Just because you feel fine and you've never felt better, that doesn't mean you're not on the very edge of death. Now get in your house and shut your mouth and put on CNN. There, is that better? No, I don't feel very good. I don't like this show. I don't like the way they're talking to me. Shut up. You're stupid. Just because you're not enjoying yourself, that doesn't mean that there's not a private little room in yourself where you've never been happier. Go into that room. What? What?
We should be testing every cow weekly. You can do pooled PCR.
No problem. PCR test. There's not a massive conversation about the efficacy of PCR and the number of rotations or whatever that thing was, whether or not they worked, or the person that invented PCR test saying, excuse me, that's not what I intended these for. They're ignoring the evidence. They're ignoring the evidence and telling you that it's science.
We have the technology. The great thing about America is we're incredibly innovative, and we have the ability to have these breakthroughs.
She's insane, huh? Like, the great thing about America is we're incredibly innovative. Look at this scarf. Now get in your house.
Breakthroughs. We could be pool testing every dairy worker. I do believe that there's...
Oh my God, why do they want to keep testing everybody all the time? The only thing that's not being tested is the efficacy of our democracy, the relationships between Big Pharma and Congress, the inability of ordinary people to run their own lives without being cast into corners of dread and terror at every possible opportunity, people being shamed because they were cynical about a medical product that doesn't even warrant the use of the name vaccine, when a couple of weeks later, someone coughs in bloody Cancun. Now we've got to stay in our houses for another 6 months.
Undetected cases in humans, because we're once again only tracking people with symptoms. When we did that with COVID, the virus spread throughout the Northeast undetected because it took a long time.
Because it wasn't that bad.
To get to the vulnerable individuals. But in the meantime, hundreds of thousands of people were infected with asymptomatic or mild disease and never came to medical.
I've got an asymptomatic or mild disease. Lock everyone in the house. For God's sake, I'm feeling mildly unwell. Give Albert Bourla $1 billion now and give the WHO the authority to shut down all our lives. Oh my God, I can barely finish the sentence. I'm so mildly ill. Oh, please, somebody do something. Inject my kid. Oh, we haven't had time to. I don't even want to hear the end of that sentence. We're not sure that it even stops there. I said inject my kid with an experimental product. Why aren't you listening? Is going deaf one of the symptoms?
We have to switch from symptoms to actually definitive laboratory testing.
Thank God Thomas Massey, he's up for a row, isn't he? Thomas Massey, have you seen him on Tucker yet? Pretty good conversation, I understand. Here's what he had to say about Deborah Briggs, who's sort of kind of sunny and upbeat, but potentially a psychopath. Heard this one before? Burke says the strain of bird flu is so dangerous no one knows they've got it unless they take one of their moody PCR tests. She says let's test every cow in the United States because we can't tell if they have it. How about the government that quits making viruses? That's the language of a racist right there, I would say. He's out of control. The FDA, of course, want us to not drink milk anymore.
Well, in Idaho, bird flu has been detected in some herds of cattle. Now the FDA wants states to discourage or stop the sale of raw milk because of potential transmission risk. Now, the agency urged states to issue more stern warnings.
Got milk? No. Well, you're not going to have any milk either. Now get in your house. You can lick the inside of a mask. Remember how they used to smell?
In the areas where dairy cattle have tested positive, raw milk can carry high levels of the virus. It is not known whether humans can get the bird flu by drinking the contaminated milk, but 3 dairy workers exposed to that milk have.
They're pumping this stuff out, aren't they? They're pumping out the propaganda by the gallon already. But the thing is, it's getting too fast. The turnaround's too fast. They only get 1 day now of unbridled propaganda. There's a Mexican man. I know people are it's become too fast. They've lost our trust, quite rightly and necessarily. What I would say is maybe bird flu won't be their gambit. Maybe it will go the same way as monkey tennis or whatever that disease was they tried. Do you remember there was that one monkey puzzle? Monkeypox. There's this new thing. Well, no, it's too soon. It's too soon. We're still using the last one. I would say it's not got legs. They're going to have to get back in the lab and work up something before people are going to be willing to medicate and lock down with quite the compliance that they were able to whip up last time in their extraordinary admiration for China. Do you remember the bit? They won't be able to do that in America. No, they won't be able to do that in the United Kingdom either. Well, they did manage it. So now the cycle of pandemic fear is something that we have to be a little more alert to. And I would say add to your list of things to be concerned about: the march towards global holy war, the inability to have open conversations about democratic process and who you can vote for and who you can't vote for. Be concerned too about anyone who wants to protect you by stopping you speaking and controlling your thinking. That is a bigger threat than something that's happened to a Mexican person and possibly to a cow somewhere. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and chat. Watch out for that pink eye, baby. That shit is real. I would say, that's one instance where washing your hands might be sensible.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.